For those who don't know me, my name is Kate Percival. I am the Web and Digital Content Coordinator here at SUNY Oswego. And today we're going to be talking about accessible emails. First, I'm going to hit you with some stats this morning, bright and early. According to OutlookTracker.com, 300.4 billion emails were sent and received every day in 2020. 300 billion emails every day. Also, according to OutlookTracker.com, the average office worker spends about 3 hours on email and receives about 121 emails per day. I'm not sure about any of the rest of you, but I can kind of attest that that's probably true. So add to those stats the fact that CDC says about 1 in 4 adults have some sort of disability. And also add on top of that, the National Center for Learning Disabilities says only about 24% of college students disclose the disabilities that they have. So put all those 4 things together, and you have a whole lot of digital communication going on, and you have no idea what the person's situation is on the other end of your digital communication. When was the last time any of us really sat down and thought about how someone else perceives our digital communication? Probably not something that crosses your mind very often. And that's okay. That's kind of why we're here. I believe that everyone exists within their own little comfort zone bubble. And whatever that comfort zone is different for everybody. But we exist in our little comfort bubble. And we don't tend to look outside of that bubble unless we are absolutely forced to. To be very honest, I started at SUNY Oswego in 2018 as the digital accessibility analyst. And prior to that time, I really had absolutely no idea what accessibility was. I lived in my very able-bodied bubble and never really took into consideration how someone else who's different than I am navigates the outside world or navigates the digital world for that matter. It wasn't until I really started working in this field that my eyes were extremely open, said, wow, holy cow, I'm very protected and I live a very sheltered life. And so we don't tend to look outside of that bubble. So that's part of the reason why I enjoy sharing these things with other people, is to kind of help open your eyes and give you a little bit of an outside glimpse as to how someone else might perceive things. So why are accessible emails important? Not all disabilities are visible. People may be experiencing disabling situations or disabling factors, right? When March 2020 hit and everything suddenly went remote, there was all sorts of light shown on all kinds of different factors that impact how people consume digital content. And it was something that had never really been thought about before because we never really had to think about it before. So there's all sorts of situational, temporary disabilities as well as permanent disabilities. And again, these things may impact how someone digests or consumes digital content. Accessible emails and websites and documents are just basically more inclusive to a wide audience. If you'll recall, one of my stats was 1 in 4 adults have some sort of disability. From a business marketing standpoint, if 1 in 4 people cannot access or read your communication, you're losing out on 25% of your audience. That's a huge number. So people with disabilities are not necessarily in the minority of things. They take up a fairly significant number in this audience. So it's important to kind of lessen the gap, as it were, and try to be as inclusive as possible to as many people as possible. So we've got some fabulous examples of really bad emails. I'm sure everyone has seen this kind of email. It's a well-intentioned email. I don't know where this came from, honestly. I don't know if it's real email or not. It's well-intentioned, but it's from a woman named Kimmy. First of all, it's written in Comic Sans, which in and of itself isn't really bad. Comic Sans isn't necessarily a bad font. It's actually fairly easy to read. I do not know a designer that enjoys looking at Comic Sans. And personally, I have a very difficult time taking seriously any communication that I receive that's written in Comic Sans. That's just my take on it. So anyway, this email says, hi team. Then in purple, it says, we'll be meeting this Friday, Friday's highlighted, to review the changes to our quarterly meeting. The meeting will go a lot smoother if everyone comes with 3 items that they want to see addressed in Q4. We have underlined words there. Then in all caps and red, which is just 2 strikes in and of itself, I believe in this team. Go team. Don't forget to bring your smiles. And then we have little fake emojis. See you at 9 a.m. sharp, right? Kimmy is very enthusiastic. It's a very well-intentioned email, but it's horrible, basically. So why is this email horrible? There's numerous colors, right? Color can be very beneficial. It can be very effective, but if not used correctly, it can also be very counteractive. When you highlight everything in color, nobody knows what to focus on. We don't know if the purple is important or if the red is important, or there's just too many colors. There's too many things going on. We also have the underline. I can't recall if it's an actual hard and fast rule. However, the general public has become accustomed to seeing underline and associating that with links. So our brains get very disappointed if we see an underline and we can't click on it. It's very frustrating. So underline is, I think best practice is used, reserved for links. Now the all caps. All caps is not advisable to use for a couple of reasons. First of all, to sighted people, it looks like you're shouting at them, which, I believe in this team. She's shouting, she's enthusiastic, but still, it makes me uncomfortable. For assistive technology does not always play well with all caps. There's a chance that it would read letter for letter instead of words because it associates it with like an acronym or something like that. So it's a little bit questionable how assistive technology reads all caps. So anyway, bottom line is it's not advised. And then the emojis at the end of the last sentence, they're not true emojis, it's keyboard emojis, which I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that assistive technology would read that as colon parentheses or colon right parentheses. Either way, if I'm hearing colon parentheses, that does not bring to my mind an image of a smiley face, right? I'm very confused now as to why these colons and parentheses are here. So lots of things going on in this email. It would be much more effective if she just kind of brought everything back a little bit and toned it down some. Bad email number 2, subject line, hello dear, with a very suspect looking email address is the return. Body of the email says, hello dear, good day, how are you doing? Hope fine. I got your email on the profile and I have interesting to I can't even. I've attempted to read this email like 17 times and I can't even do it. This just screams spam, right? There's no grammar. There's very little punctuation. There's no capitalization. It's an extremely vague subject line. The email URL is, or the email address rather, is written out, which assistive technology will read letter for letter. So there's just all things going on in here that just scream spam. And quite honestly, when I get emails that say, hello, dear, I check the address line. And if I have no idea who it is, I delete it. Now, bad email number 3. This was crafted by me on purpose to be horrible. Subject line is join us. Okay, join us for what? In the body of the email, again, we have Comic Sans in pink, no less. Dear colleague, please see the attached flyer. The end. Sincerely, Kate Percival. Well, first of all, it's extremely impersonal. Second of all, you're being directed to open an attachment, which is not always a good rule of thumb for email stuff, right? And third of all, without opening the attachment, I have absolutely no idea what this is referring to. So I included a screenshot of this also fake created attachment. It's a nice little picture of a purple flower with text over top of it. It says, what? Summer picnic luncheon, when? Friday, June 24th, where? Outside Moreno Campus Center. And then I list all of the foods that's being offered: hot dogs, burgers, potato salad, veggie burgers, and so on and so on. The flyer itself is not accessible. You should not have text over an image the way that this is. So there's all sorts of bad things happening here too. And again, if I were to get this email, join us, okay. If I know the email address that it's coming from, an oswego.edu address, I might open it. Please see the attached flyer. Fine. I know that it's coming from Oswego, so I'll probably open the flyer. But again, how many times do you hear like CTS warning against don't open attachments if you don't know who it's coming from? So this also kind of screams spam in many ways. There are 5 basic accessibility principles that we try to put into play. And these are 5 simple steps that everybody can take to make their digital content a little more accessible and inclusive. And they are identify content types. Number 2, providing text equivalents. Number 3, using color carefully. Number 4, providing descriptive hyperlinks. And number 5, using clear and specific language. Now, just from these 5 things, we can already go back in those 3 examples that I just gave you, and we can pinpoint all sorts of things that are going wrong in those previous examples. So as these 5 basic accessibility principles pertain to emails, we want to separate paragraphs with headings and lists, add image descriptions or remove the images, use color sparingly or, again, not at all, include meaningful links, and write in clear, simple language. And that includes the subject line. However, I would add be specific in the subject line. So, and we'll go over all of these. Again, these are simple steps that you can kind of incorporate into your everyday habits that will help make your emails a little more accessible. Starting off, separating paragraphs with headings and lists. This is also known as chunking. Breaks down long passages into smaller pieces. It helps the reader identify key concepts and organize the information, and it helps ease cognitive overload. We've all had that email, right? You sit down at work, you have 121 new emails in your inbox. You open up one and it looks like this. It's a wall of text, right? Don't read this slide. It doesn't matter. It's a passage that was copied from the accessibility website. It's just there to look bad. I don't know about any of you guys, but when I open up an email and this is what I see, my initial reaction is to go, like I'm immediately deflated. That's so much work. I have to read every one of those words. I have to figure out what's important. I have to decide how to react. Generally speaking, if I get an email like this, I read the first sentence or 2 to kind of discern who it's from, how important is it, what steps are needed. If I can't figure that out in the first 2 sentences, I close the email and move on. And maybe I'll come back to it later. But nobody wants to see this, right? Like it's just sort of defeating to see this much words. So we want to take this information and we want to chunk it out, separate it out. First paragraph, we have a heading, says accessibility. The inclusive practice of removing barriers that prevent interaction with websites, so on and so forth. It's telling us that that first paragraph is focusing on accessibility. The second paragraph, types of disabilities, permanent, temporary, or situational, right? It's telling us what the focus of that second paragraph is. Now, the third paragraph, factors, we have a list. All of that information was in this slide over here. I can't tell where that list begins, right? When you separate things out, your eye is drawn to it. Your brain kind of goes, okay, these are the important pieces. I know I have a list here. It's easier to read. It's easier to process. It's easier to understand. I don't feel defeated. My brain doesn't shut down. I can read this and I can process what's happening. Same with lists. Same sort of concept. It helps readers identify the key concepts and organize the information. It eases cognitive overload for that same reason. And it's highly suggested that if you have 3 or more items, to put them in a list rather than listing them out in paragraph form using commas, just because it's easier to see, it's easier to recognize, it's easier to process. Now, disclaimer, I am going to go through a few steps on how to incorporate some of these things within email. These examples are done using Gmail because that's what I use. That's what the campus suggests, right? That's what the campus supports. If you use something other than Gmail, I'm sure that these capabilities are in there somewhere. I'm not familiar enough with other email platforms to know where, but this will hopefully give you an idea of where it is that you can look for these things. So to insert a list, you highlight the appropriate text, and in the screenshot, I have on the menu written with all of our different food items, which are highlighted. Select the formatting options, which in Gmail is the underlined A icon right next to the send button. And then you may have to choose the more options as well to get all of the additional text options. Select the bulleted or numbered list icon, and that will put all of your items in a list format. Highly advised against using asterisks, I can't say that word, or putting in your own bullets or hyphens or dashes or something like that. Use the list setting that's within the Gmail, within email, to create the actual list. Now, as an email comparison, we have bad email number 3. Dear colleague, please see the attached flyer, the end. Compared to, we have a subject line of employee luncheon. The body says, hi, Michelle, please join us for the summer picnic luncheon outside the Murano Campus Center. Here's what's on the menu. I have a list format. Hope to see you there. It's a little more personable. All of the information that was included in the flyer is in the body of the email, so she doesn't have to click on anything additional. It's giving her everything she needs right then and there. Subject line provides the main point of the email. The information is detailed. The menu items are in a list, so again, they're easier to read. It's black text instead of pink, and we have an easy to read font. So all of those things, very simple steps, and you can just see the improvement in the email. Now, providing text equivalents. Text equivalents, also called alt text, is a brief image description describing what the image represents. It allows people who can't see the image to understand the meaning of it and gives them the same basic information as those who can see the image. Now, email does not play well with images. Therefore, if you have an image that's included in email that is important or holds important information, it's suggested to include the descriptive information in the body of the email. Do not rely on alt text alone. And if you have an image that's purely decorative, I suggest removing it just because email doesn't play well with images. So a couple of examples of alt text. We have a picture of a textbook cover. If you're going to email this to your class, for example, I want you to buy this book. You want to include an alt text description that tells the class what book they're buying. So you could say John Eastwood's Oxford Guide to English Grammar. That gives you the title of the book, but it doesn't really tell you anything about what the book looks like. So a more descriptive alt text would be John Eastwood's Oxford Guide to English Grammar. Cover has a blue background with white text and multicolored circles at the bottom. That gives someone a visual, gives them an idea of what it is they're looking for. Example number 2, we have a Zoom screenshot. A man and a woman on a Zoom call. Without any other context, that's what's in this image, right? This image was taken from the oswego.edu home site from a news article, or it's linked with a news article rather from a year or so ago. So more specific alt text would be former SUNY Oswego president Deborah Stanley speaks via Zoom with sportscaster and alum Steve Levy. It gives us who the people are, why it's important. It kind of associates that with the news article. So if okay, Deborah Stanley interviewed Steve Levy. Cool, I like Steve Levy. I want to go read the news article and see what was said. Now, example number 3, I broke out into 2 slides because the alt text is a little bit denser and they wouldn't fit on one slide basically. But I like this example because it really highlights how the alt text of an image can change based on the context that the image is being used in. So as a generic alt text for this particular image, just looking at the picture, we have a woman smiling, looking out over water with a beach volleyball game going on in the background. I have no idea who this woman is. I don't know where she is. It looks really nice where she is. There's a volleyball game happening. Like, okay, but what is that? What does any of that have to do with anything? Again, I took this image off of the news section of the oswego.edu homepage. It was associated with a news article. More specific alt text would be wellness management major Fadi Gay, who earned SUNY's Norman R. McConney Jr. Award for Student Excellence. Where she is has no relevance. The volleyball game has no relevance. We're looking at her because she earned this award, and the alt text is reflecting that. So now I can say, oh, okay, cool. I want to know what she did in order to earn that award. And I can go and read the news article or read the rest of the email or whatever the case is. But I really enjoy that example because it really shows you how the alt text can change based on whatever context the image is being used in. So again, just kind of a brief overview of alt text. You want to describe the meaning of the picture, not just what's happening in the picture. Now, I mentioned Gmail, email does not play well with images. To my knowledge, there is no possible way to add alt text within Gmail directly. So the workaround that I discovered was that you have to open a Google Doc, insert the image into the Google document, add your alt text, right click on the image, select the alt text option. You can put the dialogue or enter the text in the dialog box and then hit OK. Now copy the image. Part 2 is you open up Gmail, paste the image into the body of the Gmail, and it will retain the alt text that you created. It's a pain. It's not ideal. I searched and I played and I tried and I could not figure out a way to enter alt text directly into Gmail. Now, a lot of people want to have images in their signatures, like the Oswego logo or I have an image in my signature. That's fine. You have to do part 1, open the image in a document, put in your alt text, copy the image, open the Gmail settings, which is the little cog icon, and then go to see all settings. Scroll down to where your signatures are, paste the image in the signature box, and then make sure to scroll to the bottom and save your changes. So again, if an image is not necessarily absolutely needed in an email, I would say just don't even bother because this is what you have to go through in order to put the alt text in to make that image accessible to someone else. All right, moving on, using color carefully. Again, bad email example number 1. Did anyone actually enjoy looking at that email? Because I did not. I see we have a question. I also see we have something in the chat. I'll take a quick pause and see if answer a question. Okay, Laura, did you have your hand up?
I did. Just a quick question, which has come up when I've been put an image in a document also and gone to the alt text. I see that and I just saw this with Google Docs also, that you have the box for the alt text, and then you also have a box that says title. And any advice on what goes in title versus what goes in the actual alt text box?
In the actual alt text box would be the legitimate description. Title would be used, and I've seen title, a couple different things on title. I don't believe that it's quite as important as the alt text. I've seen that used more in the case of a graph or a chart. So you can put in like a summary, an overview, like this is a graph of, whatever our earnings were for Q3. And then the alt text would be a little more specific about whether they went up or down or whatnot like that. So I think if you don't use the title, it's kind of okay, but definitely put a description in the alt text box.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, great. Any other questions so far? Now I'm kind of throwing a lot of information at you. I'm moving through a little bit quickly, but I'm happy to pause if we have any other questions. Okay, doesn't seem like it, so we'll press on. Using color carefully. As I mentioned, color can be effective, but it can also be very ineffective if you don't use it properly. Now, this example is not specifically email related, but I just love this example. So we have a screenshot from an actual live football game that was broadcast on a major TV network a couple of years ago. On the left-hand side of the screen, we have the New York Jets in green uniforms, and on the right-hand side of the screen, we have Buffalo Bills in red uniforms. Anyone care to venture a guess what the most prominent color blindness combination is? Red and green, yay! So viewers, we're looking at this, which is all grayscale. And I don't know about you watching football. I'm not a huge football fan, Watching a football game with only the helmets to determine what is happening is a very bad idea to me. So apparently this network got quite a number of calls about the accessibility of this particular game. So again, not directly email related, but I love that example. I just think it highlights exactly what it is that we're talking about. So guidelines for using color. You want high color contrast. Dark text on a light background is the #1 preferred, followed by light text on a dark background. However, for long passages, light text on a dark background is harder on the eyes to read. So for the majority of like documents and emails and things like that, stick with dark on light. You want to ensure that color is not the only means of relaying information. You want to have a secondary attribute if you're highlighting something or emphasizing something using color. Color cannot be the only way that it's done. First of all, because someone with low color vision will not necessarily be able to discern the color difference. And assistive technology does not note color difference. So it will just skip right over it and pretend like it doesn't exist. So one good way to determine if your email meets color standards is to preview it in grayscale. If you can't tell where the color differences are, then someone with low vision or assistive technology is not going to be able to determine that either. Yes, Gwen, we have another question.
Thanks, Kate. So sometimes if you send me an email with like 5 questions about something that happens in class, and I'm trying to respond and I want to make sure that you can see each of my responses to your answers, what I've sometimes done is I've embedded my answers within your email, but I've put it in a different color. And so I've been wrestling with what color is the best contrast, both for Black, because that's how your text is coming, and also to stand out and not hit the most obvious sign. So am I doing that correctly or incorrectly? And like, what color should I do now that I know that I should be checking in grayscale?
That is a great question. And quite honestly, I know it's something that like people generally do as a sort of best practice thing. I don't really know the absolute best answer to that question. I would say, first of all, if you're going to use a color, also like bold, or just skip the color and use bold in your response, or italics, or bold and italics. I think that tends to make it stand out a little bit more than color alone. Plus, if something is bolded and or italicized, assistive technology will pick up on that. So if the recipient is using assistive technology, it will read that text as either emphasized, or I don't remember exactly what the terminology is, but it's emphasized anyway. Whereas again, color, assistive technology is not going to note that your color is blue or green or pink or whatever. So I think bolding and italicizing are honestly the best options for that. Because personally, I think it stands out better than using color. And then, like I said, assistive technology will also respond to that a little bit better.
Thank you.
Great question. So here are some quick examples of not using color alone. Our top paragraph is our bad example. We have accessibility is the inclusive practice of removing barriers that prevent interaction with websites, media, and digital content. The word accessibility is in red. That particular red is the default for just about everything, and it does not meet accessibility standards. So Microsoft Word, Google Docs, everything wants that red to be important, but as far as accessibility goes, it's not. Also, it's the only form of highlighting. So again, assistive technology is not going to acknowledge that. Websites, media, and digital content is highlighted. Preview this in grayscale and you will be able to tell that there's something in the background of those words, which makes it a little more feasible. However, it's still the only, like again, assistive technology may not pick up on the fact that it's highlighted. It'll just skip right over that. So the better example down at the bottom, the word accessibility is highlighted in a darker shade of red and it's italicized. And then websites, media, and digital content still have the yellow background, but they are bolded. So again, assistive technology will pick that up as emphasized and it will denote that as it's reading the text. Including meaningful link text. Also called descriptive hyperlinks. Descriptive hyperlinks provide text that describes where the link will go. The link description should make sense out of context. And the clickable text should be a word or phrase that someone might search for. The reasons for this: assistive technology can pull links out of a document, so to speak, quote, right? So someone who's listening to a document using assistive technology, they can skim through the document using headings, or they can skim through the document using links. If you have a document that's filled with links that say, click here, when those click here's are out of context of the rest of the sentence, the user is only going to hear, click here, visit us, learn more. It's not telling them anything about where those links are going. So it's not really very helpful. So bad examples. Ooh, and the color contrast is off on this slide. Community potluck. Please register for the community potluck by going to http://wrvo.org/picnic. And that's pretty much how an assistive technology device is going to read the URL. So consider that was just one word, right? Like one very short URL. Some of the URLs that I've had to copy and paste are like lines long, and assistive technology will read every single one of those characters. So rather than having the link spelled out, a better example would be, please register for the link community potluck. And that's how assistive technology would read it. It says link and then reads the words. So again, community potluck is telling the reader where the link is going to. It's telling them, you probably could have register also highlighted, or instead of community potluck, highlight register. But it's a little more descriptive. It's telling the user where the link is going to, and it's not reading the full URL. So a second quick little example, learn more about Vote As We Go here. This is in the case where I was just saying, where if someone's skimming through a document using assistive technology and they pull out all of the links, all they're going to hear is the word here. So it doesn't tell them where they're going to. It doesn't tell them really what's happening. If it's an extremely long document that has multiple links, it's not going to be very useful to them at all. So instead, you want to link out the words Vote As We Go. And that tells the reader where they're going. It gives them more description about the link itself. It's much more helpful. So to insert a hyperlink, highlight the appropriate text. In this screenshot, I have the words accessibility website highlighted in my email. Go down to the bottom again, next to the send button, you have a link icon. You want to click on that, enter in, either copy and paste or type in the URL or the website. You also do have the ability to select email address, and then you can put whatever email address goes in that same little box, and then hit OK. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So again, I know this is a lot of information. And we're not quite done yet, but we're getting there. But these are very simple things that can be done, and they're easily incorporated into like your everyday habits. So if you have these things in your mind, the next time you're writing out emails or documents or syllabi or whatever it is that you're writing, and I'll provide you with some resources at the end that share some places to go to help remind you of all this stuff. So I don't expect you guys to be all experts by the time we get done here, but I will provide you some links and resources of how to review all these information. So now back to the clear subject line. We had the hello dear email, right? And I'm pretty sure everyone who receives a hello dear email probably either ignores it or deletes it right away. The subject line acts as a title for the email. It's like the document heading. It's like the book title. It should be very succinct and meaningful. It describes the purpose of the communication. And again, you want to avoid all caps. And in the title you want, or in the subject line, avoid punctuation. Just, it's one of those best practice things. So some bad examples, we have attention, all caps, shouting at us. I'll probably delete that email. I won't even look at it. We have the hello dear, hurry, act now. I'm the kind of person where if you tell me to hurry, act now, I'm not going to do a damn thing. So those emails that are like sale on 24 hours, hurry, act now. No, I delete them. I don't care. Sorry. And then the ever popular vague, join us. Join us for what? You're not telling me anything. So some good examples, alternatives would be STC registration is open. as the title of an email, that tells me, and you could even go further and say SUNY Technology Conference registration is open. So that tells me I've been to the SUNY Technology Conference. I'm interested in that. I want to go again. So I'm going to open that email because I know the registration is now available. Tuesday's meeting agenda. First of all, this tells me that I have a meeting on Tuesday. And second of all, it tells me that I should probably review the agenda before I go to that meeting. Apply for the TIP grant by June 13th. Specific, it's talking about a specific grant. It's giving me a deadline of when to do it. And then the employee luncheon example that we had. Employee luncheon is still fairly vague. However, given that it's coming from an oswego.edu website or oswego.edu email, and I am an employee of Oswego, so I'm going to assume that that, pertains to me, and I'm probably going to open it and read it at least to see when it is or where it is or if it looks interesting. So again, writing clear and simple language in the body of the email. Now there tends to be some misunderstanding about when we talk about writing in clear and simple language, and I will try to go over that. Way back when, millions of years ago, when I was in college, I was a broadcasting major. And one of the things that I learned was about the journalism inverted pyramid. And this image was taken from the Air Force Departmental Publishing Office. Basically, it's an upside down triangle, and it says you need all of the important information first, up top. And this was, I believe this came about because of print journalism, because there is a very finite, specific amount of room for your print newspaper article. So if you started off your article with all of the background information and the fluff and all of this leading up to it, and then your very last paragraph was the most important details, if the editor ran out of room and needed to cut the article, guess where he's going to cut from? The bottom, the end, right? So all of the important information goes up top, goes at the front of the article, who, what, where, when, why, followed by important details, supporting details, and then other general background information go at the very end, because if it were to get cut, then it doesn't matter. Well, even though we're talking about the digital space and not the print space, the same concept is in play, because I'm going to let you in on a little industry secret. Nobody reads every word. Nobody reads every word of anything they get. We skim and we start at the top. So if all of your important information is at the bottom of the email, it's going to be completely missed, because I can almost guarantee that majority of people don't always get to the bottom of your email, especially if it's like that wall of text that we saw earlier. So you want to start off with the most important information, and then you can add other not so much important information towards the end. Using clear language and using the inverted pyramid allows people to easily understand the information. It helps a wide range of audiences. Again, cognitive overload, busy people, right? People who are working in a number of different situations. We don't read the entire thing. So having all of that information, having straightforward, clear information is going to be much more useful than having people try to figure out what you're talking about. And then the misunderstanding comes with disciplinary content. We've had professors come back to us say, well, I have to be very specific when I write disciplinary content. Yes, disciplinary content should be very specific. If you know the audience that you're writing to, and it has to do with very detailed information pertaining to your class or your field of study or whatever, then yes, please be more specific. For general communications, you want to be somewhat vague, you want to be very clear, and you want to be very straightforward, but you want people to be able to understand information the first time they read it or hear it. It helps people discern that they are in the right place. It helps them decide whether it pertains to them or not. So it has a number of different benefits. So the writing style, use short sentences, use concise ideas, try to avoid jargon, again, for like general communication. Use the small chunks of text like we talked about earlier, and generally stick with one concept per paragraph. Again, if you have one concept or one idea per paragraph, people's brains can process that a lot better than if you have 3 or 4 concepts in one paragraph. So these examples come from plainlanguage.gov/examples. If you ever have free time, I highly suggest going to this website and poking around because some of these things are hilarious. This particular example reads, the student applicant should submit an official copy of his or her transcript, 2 letters of recommendation from professors, a statement of financial need, and a short biographical statement to our grants office by April 15th. I have used this example in numerous presentations. I still cannot recite to you what it says. Like it just blah, blah, blah. It ends up like Charlie Brown. I don't remember. So we want to break it down a little bit. To apply, submit the following items to our grants office by April 15th. Okay, check. There's the deadline, April 15th. Got it. We need an official copy of your transcript, 2 letters of recommendation, statement of financial need, and a short biographical statement. First of all, again, being in a list format, my eye is drawn to that. If I'm looking for this information on a website or in a document, I'm never going to find it if it's in paragraph form. But if it's listed out like this, my eye will see it much quicker. It's also relayed to as a list by Assistive Technology. So someone who is skimming through a document using Assistive Technology will be able to find the list much faster than if they just have to read the entire document from front to end. And you have a little checklist. So as you're going through things, you go, okay, there's the deadline. I got the deadline. Official copy of the transcript. Yep, got that. Cross that one off the list. 2 letters of recommendation. Okay, we got that. We can move on. So breaking it out and being very direct and very clear makes things a lot easier to understand. Do we have any questions? I've been ignoring chat and I apologize. That's kind of what I do when I present things. So I'm going to check that really quick. We have some comments about the colors. Yes, hilarious. Question slightly off topic. Can we manipulate the prefix of a Blackboard generated email? Blackboard, I am not extremely familiar with. I would say for Blackboard questions, ask one of the instructional designers or find one of the faculty fellows and ask them because I don't use Blackboard very often, so I'm not sure what the capabilities are. And then Alex, you have your comment about above the fold, but I forget. Oh, that you're talking about the inverted pyramid, probably about above the fold. Yes. Yep. So again, on websites, we don't like to scroll very much. So if the information that we are looking for is not right there front and center in front of our face, chances are we're going to exit rather than scroll through a whole bunch of pages in order to find it. Yep. I don't know why, but I think that that's kind of fun stuff. I took a computer web class and the textbook was called Don't Make Me Think. And that is completely the human perspective on receiving information. Just tell me what I need to know. I don't want to have to think about it. So
I had a couple quick questions aside from that being slightly heartbreaking, but for emails, yes. My first question was, as we're chunking things in an email, should we be using paragraph styles there the way we would in a Word doc, or that's not an option in email?
In email, you can't really style things. I don't believe you can style things with headings, paragraphs, like you can make a list style.
Gotcha.
I don't believe there's a specific heading style. However, I would suggest if you have, again, an extensive amount of information, try to break it down so it's smaller paragraphs. So it looks, it's not that big wall of text. And then if you kind of change gears a little bit through the email, I would suggest adding in like your own little headings. And again, an email, you can put in a word and make it bold or make it italics just to make it stand out a little more, as opposed to styling it as a heading like you would in a Word doc. But that it kind of helps sort of gear people's minds to the fact that like, okay, we were on subject A and now with the new paragraph, there's another heading. So we're on subject B now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Thanks. And then my other question was, when you have the text for a link is there, I think I have a tendency to make that text too long, because when I shifted from just saying here, I was like, oh, I want to make sure it has all the information. So community picnic or register, I might have linked all register for community picnic here, like something like that. Is there like a good length or something to avoid with that?
That's a good question. And there's not like a character count or anything like that. I think in that particular example, linking community potluck, comma, or linking the word register, comma, or linking the words register for the community potluck would be acceptable. What you want to avoid is full sentences. Here is the link for the community potluck. That's no good. The other thing is assistive technology allows users to search for the words that are linked. So you want to have the link on words that would be searchable. So the words that are most pertinent to where the link is going to. So again, like if you were to have the sentence, here is the link for the word here would be the first word that's linked. Nobody's going to search for the word here, right? You're going to search for community potluck or register or something like that. So, yeah, it's a great question. And I don't believe there's a really hard and fast rule. The general best practice is a couple of words, try to avoid full sentences, and then have the focus be on the thing that most pertains to the link that it's going to.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Really good questions. Anybody else have a question? I think we're almost out of time, but oops. I will, let's see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for right now so I can put some things in the chat. I'm going to put a link in the chat for our accessibility website, which has all of this information. Is just oswego.edu/accessibility. We have written and video tutorials. We have lots of basic background information. There's a lot of information that has to do with emails. I don't know if all my specific examples are in there, but you should be able to get information. Also, my email, which I will also put in the chat, is kathleen.percival@oswego.edu. If you ever come across anything, I mean, like I said, you guys have had some great questions. Email can be a little bit funky sometimes. So if you ever come across anything that you're running into roadblocks or you just don't know what best practice is, feel free to reach out and email me. If I don't know the answer, I will do my best to get it for you. And yeah, if anybody else has any questions, I'm happy to address them right now. Pretty much out of time. So thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate you being here this morning. Happy emailing, and hope to look forward to seeing you guys again soon.